Welcome in, IDP Army, best ball, fantasy football fanatics. It's your man Jordan Reigns at 50 Shades of Drunk. If you want to follow me on Twitter, be sure you smash that subscribe button, smash that thumbs up button, and subscribe to all of our podcasts. We have 4 different podcasts across 2 different feeds, which feed into this YouTube channel. We would love to have you subscribing to those so you don't miss anything over there. If you want to check out our rankings, we have best ball rankings, we have dynasty rankings, and most importantly, we have the best IDP rankings in the business. You can check those out. Link is in the description for all of that. Channel members are the only folks that get access to that. That's how we support the channel. That's the only, we don't take a lot of ad money, except for what YouTube throws at us, because we want to keep you all, getting the good stuff. So if you find value, entertainment, just like us, just want to throw some dollars at us, we'll take it. So head down into the description, or you can throw us a super thanks. So like I said, today, we're going to be doing a best ball draft. I'm not going to waste a lot of time. Just going to go through a draft, give you my thoughts on the draft, players in the draft, all that good stuff. We're going to be using Underdog Fantasy. That's the best ball fantasy platform that we like the most, that we use the most. Also partnered with us currently. If you would like to play best ball with us, head into the link into the description as well. They give you a $100 deposit match bonus. You can play best ball with us. So for this show, I'm going to be doing the little board. I haven't done any little board drafts yet. If you want to know more about best ball in general, just leave comments. Love to answer any questions you have. Help you, become acclimated to this fast-growing format. Hopefully, we don't have to wait long for this draft to get going. All right, so I'm going to actually call an audible on this. We were sitting in that little board room for a while. Because they're limited to only 2 people or 2 entries for the season, I feel like that's going to limit how quickly we can get that filled. So I jumped into the big board, which is 150 max entry, $10 instead of $3, hoping that fills a little faster. Because if you're watching this, I've been sitting here for like 10 minutes waiting for the little board to fill. It hasn't. Obviously, I'll edit that out for, your sake. But like I said, audible has been called. We're switching to the big board. All right, filled up. We are going to be drafting from the 103 spot, looks like. What are we thinking here? What am I thinking here? Great question. What am I thinking here? Not Travis Kelce. I don't like Travis Kelce in the first. I think that's a silly pick, honestly. Because how are your teams going to be any different? I never mind. Whatever. All right, we are on the clock. Or no, we're not on the clock. We're almost on the clock. Pull this down. Let's see what we got here. All right, Justin Jefferson, auto pick. McCaffrey second. So I'm going to go Jamar Chase. I like getting him here. And I should be able to, if I want to stack Burrow, that should be an option for me. We'll see, though. I'm not married to the idea of stacking Joe Burrow. Don't have to stack Joe Burrow. Well, I was just talking a bunch there. But what I said, because I was muted, was essentially I was surprised that the second running back doesn't go off the board till the very end of that first round. Then we had a little bit of a run. And back on the clock, I plan to go another wide receiver. I plan to just load up at the wide receiver position. Wow, people are coming around to what's good these days. I'm taking DK Metcalf. I always err on the upside plays. Olave, it's interesting to me that his ADP and Smith's is above DK's, given what we've seen from DK. But that's free money for me, in my opinion. So now I have Jamar Chase and DK Metcalf. Consistent teams, building around them, consistent quarterback play. We know what we're going to get. So I like that for me. I plan on going 4 wide receivers. That's my plan. And because I trust myself to find meaningful running back play in the mid to late rounds, where a lot of people, say avoid the running back dead zone. I mean, we're not scared to hop in because we trust what we see and what we know. So we're able to fade the narratives and all that side of stuff. So back on the board, like I said, we're going to go another wide receiver here. And I'm going to go Amari Cooper. Love what he's been able to do. His first season with the new team, the Browns, goes for 1,000 yards with Jacoby Brissett and Deshaun Watson. He's younger than Devontae Adams. He's younger than Tyreek Hill. He's the same age or maybe a little younger than Stephon Diggs. These elite wide receivers. When we know Amari Cooper is an elite wide receiver. So to put up useful numbers this last year, also career high touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. I think he had 9 career high. There's a lot of good things to come for him with Deshaun Watson under center, assuming that, he doesn't go visit any more massage parlors and get in any trouble, and he plays football, we could see a little rapport being built here between one of the best young quarterbacks in the league and one of the best route runners and just one of the most consistent wide receivers we've had in the NFL over the last 5, 6, 7 seasons, 8 seasons. And he's been bounced around, but he's consistently been good. So while other people are yakking about Brandon Cooks and nonsensical bullshit, keep an eye on Amari Cooper as a nice wide receiver 3. DeAndre Hopkins in the 3rd round, that's way too high for him. He's old. Reality, he hasn't been picked up yet for a reason, guys. Like, he's in that Odell Beckham area of life. He's not just going to get force-fed targets wherever he goes. He's trying to get on the same team right now with Juju Smith-Schuster. Think about that, okay? Like, there is no upside to DeAndre Hopkins. It doesn't exist. So to take him in the 3rd round, I think that's really, really, really dumb. And that's just my opinion, and I could be wrong. And there might be, maybe he's building a certain type of team, and I won't fade that. But personally, I'm avoiding DeAndre Hopkins. Just felt like I needed to share that. All right, we're about to be back up. Let's go ahead and take a look at this board. I do plan still on attacking the wide receiver position aggressively, going for that 4th wide receiver before I've even looked at the other positions. And there's why. I mean, you don't have to look very far down this list to see players that are definitely going to have, multiple top 12 weeks, and I bet some of them will be there later. So like I said, let's stick to the script. I really like Terry McLaurin, and I really like Drake London this year, but I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to stick to the vet, the player that's done it the most times. It's just something that is always easier for me to go with. I know maybe there's an unknown element to the upside of Drake, but the unknown you get with that is I also don't know whose quarterback is. I know Terry McLaurin's been really good with a bunch of different guys. I know Terry McLaurin's a dog. So I'm taking Terry there. And now that I have 4 wide receivers on this team, Jamar Chase, DK Metcalf, Amari Cooper, Terry McLaurin, I feel really good about that start. And wow, I didn't even realize I'm actually about to be right back on the clock. Dare I go 5 wide receivers because I'm feeling confident in what I'm going to be able to get later at the running back position. Still very confident given some of the players on the board here. I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to keep stacking wide receivers. Some people may call me crazy, but I can't quit Mike Evans. And as a 6, or what is he on my team? Jamar, DK, Amari, 3, Terry, 4. Mike Evans is a 5. We can build around this team. Watch. I'm very, very excited about this. And look, I mean, there's nothing flashy about this team. Mike Evans, boring. Terry McLaurin, boring. Amari Cooper, boring. DK Metcalf. Even Jamar Chase is kind of boring now. He dropped a 3. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we're going to be able to build something special here. So let's take a look. And something I don't really worry about what anybody else does in a draft. You really just need to focus on your team, putting the best players you can on it. So we're here. We're going to be in the 6th round next. So let's think seriously about this team now, because this team actually has a really nice start. So let's start thinking about some strategies. So do we want to just go ahead and mess around, try and correlate with a quarterback? Let's say we do. Well, our best guy is probably going to be Deshaun Watson because we have Amari Cooper. Looks like we don't have many other players to stack with the wide receivers. We can go Geno late, we really don't know about the quarterback situation for some of these other guys. So we'll put a star on Deshaun Watson, and we're going to take this team seriously. How many picks before we're back up? 9 picks away. Whew. But let's not count on, we're not going to count on Deshaun Watson coming back. It looks like a little quarterback run's already started here. So let's go ahead and look at our running backs, just to prepare for that pivot. I'm not drafting J.K. Dobbins anywhere. The fact that his ADP is above Isaiah Pacheco's is like literally insane to me, but whatever. Oh my gosh, look, Khalil Herbert, running back 30. This is why we took Mike Evans in the 5th, because we're probably going to have to worry about Khalil Herbert till much later in this draft, multiple rounds from now. We're going to be able to build a solid team here. George Kittle's still on, or no, George Pickens. George Kittle's still on. Kyle Pitts goes in the 6th. I can get behind Kyle Pitts in the 6th. If you want to take a shot on an upside tight end in the 6th, that's great. My issue with Kyle Pitts was people were taking him high second last year based on nothing. Fabricated, proprietary, made-up bullshit metrics that don't matter. And hype. And the clicks. The name sells. So, oh, wow. They did give us Deshaun Watson. So we're going to take Watson here. Yeah, even though I think he may have come back to us just because, again, I want this team to be kind of serious now because I feel very confident in these bulletproof wide receivers I got here. Now I got a quarterback that should be able to hold his own against some of the best in the league, point for point basis. I did stack him with his wide receiver 1. I love that. We're going to target David Njoku later in this draft as well. I'll go ahead and tell you that. I love him. This could actually end up being a really fun team. Maybe we'll do a Brown stack. So we'll be back up in a couple of picks. I don't want to go back to the board, but after that, we'll go back to the board and watch. I do want to look seriously at my first running back here, though, because I am seeing some guys go off the board. So do we just take Swift and David Montgomery? That's part of my question here. I think I'm going to go ahead and just lock up Isaiah Pacheco. Based on what I saw last year down the stretch, the way he basically started making McKinnon irrelevant, the way McKinnon made everyone else in the backfield irrelevant, CEH basically, Ronald Jones, Melvin. I mean, Isaiah Pacheco was the starting Super Bowl running back for the Chiefs as a rookie. Over, again, it's a list of guys that matter. CEH, Melvin Gordon, Ronald Jones, Jerick McKinnon. I mean, those guys are, it's not like he beat out a backfield with like Dare Bawale and, Ty Johnson and, I don't know, some other scrub. You know what I mean? Rex Burkhead. No. So pay attention. I like that we punted. I like that we got a high-powered offenses, running back 1. I really like how this draft's going. Knock on wood. Do we have a winner here? Yes. And actually, yes, this team's going to win, but I'm going to go ahead and speak this into existence. I spoke it into existence last year with the Bash. I want to go ahead and just do it here. Go ahead. This deserves a bigger screen. We're going to win the Best Ball Mania 4. This guy right here. Best Ball Mania 4 on lock. Going in. If I got to max draft it, if I can max draft it, if I choose to do that, I will. I'll win with one of those teams. If I don't, I'm going to win it. Okay? Plan on taking down quite a few of these tournaments. Apparently, that's what you got to do. Just got to keep winning. Don't plan on stopping. So, NFT tournament, the BDGE Bash. Love it. Speaking of which, Nick's going to be on the channel next week, depending on when you see this. We'll be talking about just show up. You'll want to be there. Gonna win the Best Ball Mania next year. So underdog, all y'all, Pat Curran, Liam, Justin Herzig. Yeah, I know my history. Yeah, I play best ball for real. People be badge broing it up. I had so many messages. How'd you get your badge? Man, girl, boy, I had this badge for 9-10 months. Where you been? Come on now. All right, back to work. You heard it here first. Oh, shit. All that shit talking. All right, so let's look at the running backs we have available. I really like Khalil Herbert. I'm not even going to waste time here because I'm not prepared to make this pick per se because I'm talking all that shit. So I'm going to go with my gut. Again, this is one of those things where it's nice when you have your guys. Sometimes you can just go find them and you just know, okay, that's one of my guys. Let's take a little peek at the wide receivers that are still around here in what will be the 9th round pick for us. Dang, it's thinned out a lot. A couple of weeks ago, I guarantee Kadarius Toney would have still been sitting here. He's long gone. Even Juju, he's on a worse team now. He's gone. Whew, things changed quite. That's why I'm glad we went heavy on our wide receivers early because I'm not sweating it now. Because I see tons of value here at the running back position, like my man Brian Robinson here, who had 200 carries after he was shot, 9 receptions. We know Antonio Gibson can catch the ball, but so can Robinson a little bit. Just because it wasn't a big part of his game before doesn't mean it won't be later. Look at Ramondre Stevenson. What did he catch? 20, 30 balls as a rookie. And then he caught like 69 last year. See, I took Isaiah Pacheco at pick 73. Sandwich between Treylon Burks, big question mark, and Brandon Cooks, big question mark. Let's be real. We can say that the role is there and that it'll work, but we don't know that. Really look at the value of Trey Lance here as compared to the last 2 years in best ball. I mean, he's the reason I didn't win hardly any money 2 years ago in best ball. I think I had like 60, 70% exposure to Trey Lance. I was all in. That didn't work out. But you know, that's how I play best ball. Last year, and I was all in on Trey Lance that year and Daniel Jones. Didn't work out. Last year, I came off of Daniel Jones. I went all in on Jared Goff and Kirk Cousins in a lot of my drafts. You know, the ones where you don't get your elite guys. You know, that's kind of where I was going. Those guys crushed for me last year. So that's just how I play. And this year it's going to pay off big. Whole squad on that real shit. All right, I was kind of interested in where Elijah Moore would go in this draft. Looks like he goes here at the end of the 10th round, or at the end of the 9th, top of the 10th, whatever you want to call it. I bet his ADP continues to climb now that he does have Deshaun Watson throwing him the ball. So go down in the comments, you know, if you're watching this on YouTube, tell me which team or, you know, which pick so far you've really liked. For my team, which team pick you haven't liked, maybe an alternative pick you would have made. I'm very interested in how other people are viewing things. All right, we're back up in a couple of picks. One pick looks like hoping to get David Njoku. Oh, looks like he just went off the board. Oh, that hurts. We're not going to freak out and just go for the next best tight end. I'm going to look at the running backs here again because I want to be diligent about this. 10th, 11th round here. I'm going to take Antonio Gibson. If nothing else, I'm at least locking up this backfield if an injury happens, and as long as they don't draft somebody crazy. So Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson, locking them in with Khalil Herbert, Isaiah Pacheco. Yeah, it doesn't look super sexy necessarily, but I have a lot of faith in those guys, and I have a lot of faith with those guys locked in with these guys. Jamar Chase, DK Metcalf, Amari Cooper, Terry McLaurin, and Mike Evans. Kind of in some teams here that are, you know, not traditionally high-powered offenses, or recently, maybe is the right word. We shall continue. Dang, didn't realize we were back so quick. Here we are, 2 picks away. Our team could use another quarterback. I'm going to go Geno here. You know what? I'm going to solidify this team again. Now I'm stacked up with my wide receiver, 1 and 2 combo with my quarterback combo here. Did not get old Joe Burrow, but Geno, more than capable, has shown that. DK and he were just fine this last year. Loves to target him. You know, everyone's talking, oh, get Tyler Lockett. Yeah, get Tyler Lockett. That's great. I mean, you can be holding that bag when it does fall off. I don't care how many years in a row he's been a top 15, 16 wide receiver. That's great. He's a older wide receiver. You know, his skill set is really good, but DK's DK. Difference maker. All right, we are back on the board through some guys in the queue over here. Gonna go with Michael Gallup though, just because he was had a down year last season. He still got plenty of targets. It was a weird year for the Cowboys overall. I haven't actually watched the play from last year over much. I know he didn't catch a lot of balls, but I know what he has been in the past for my fantasy teams. I know the kind of player he is as an athlete. And I just have to sometimes, you know, one season is one data point, you know, and an injury, sure. But he still has upside. And I think that he could still be the number 2 on this team. I know people want to make it Brandon Cooks, and that's fine. Maybe it will be Brandon Cooks, but I'm not sold on that personally. So that's why I took him. We're back on the board here again. So let's take a look. Currently rocking 6 wide receivers, no tight ends. I think we're just going to completely punt the tight end position at this point. And we're going to go with Isaiah Hodges here. This is just kind of a differentiation pick for me. Don't have a lot of Isaiah Hodges in Dynasty or in best ball. I do know that he was, you know, used last year and made some big plays for that team. And I know that the wide receiver free agency market was not great. And I know this class isn't great. So if he can build on that, if he can show up in my lineup behind guys like Mike Evans, behind guys like DK Metcalf 2-3 times next season, we'll take it. So I'll take him there. Going to look at the tight ends here. I mean, tight end is just so ugly. You know, I'm more inclined to just take, tight end 30. We're looking at Tyler Conklin. He finished like tight end 9 last year. You know, where's he playing? Still on the Jets. You know, we don't know Aaron Rodgers is there yet or not. Hayden Hurst to Carolina. Gerald Everett. Gerald Everett had 87 targets last season. He's being drafted as tight end 20 1. Does that make sense to you? Looks like free money to me. If you still buying them Wolf tickets on Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen, why aren't you buying any Wolf tickets on Gerald Everett? They're a lot cheaper. Same show. Add them to the queue. And see, now we're going to have some fun. Because we're in round 14. We got a solid-ass team built over here. Honestly, I mean, you don't have to agree with me, but I think it's solid. So now it's just about having some fun. Who do we want to get a little exposure to next season? It's going to make this really tie this all together. Tyler Higbee had 108 targets last season. Holy guacamole. He's being drafted as tight end 19. Is this normal? Is that how people play fantasy? Zeke? Oh, hell. Zeke's still on the board. I'm taking him here. I mean, this is the 14th round. I mean, he's going to play football somewhere, right? I mean, Leonard Fournette kept getting a job. Somebody's going to get hurt. You know, bless them, don't want it, knock on wood, but Zeke in the 14th round? It's real life. Late round running back. Let's go. Look at that. Pacheco to Zeke sandwich. Hell of a ride, huh? And again, none of those guys are hot right now yet. Just wait. And we're going to put Roquan Johnson on with that last pick. So let's keep messing with these. Actually, we're going to go ahead and let's see. Tyler Higbee's still on the board, but I hate Tyler. I don't hate Tyler Higbee. I want Gerald Everett. Give me Gerald Everett. 201 is my tight end on this team. I said we're having fun. Let's have fun. Promise you a good time. 15th round. How in the world does Hunter Renfrow get drafted before Jimmy Garoppolo? I'm just so okay. I'm confused. We'll see what this board's looking like. Any good value picks here in these later rounds? Anybody sticking out to anybody watching this at home with your wife and kids, obviously, because they love fantasy football just like you do? Anthony Richardson could end up being an absolute league winner. That's what you look for. I mean, this before running quarterbacks became what you wanted and what everybody went for, the way you found one was how this person just found Anthony Richardson, a late round quarterback. This was the whole concept of late round quarterback. The whole concept of it was you could stream the position or you could hope to land one of these. And back in the day, it was a Tyrod Taylor type. Ugh. But I mean, obviously, you know, and then it was a Colin Kaepernick type. Let me stop talking about him, you know, and there was Cam Newton, you know, but then, you know, that was a short-lived thing. But then Lamar and, you know, and Josh Allen, and now it's everybody. This is what now we're drafting those guys in the second, third, fourth round, and not just one of them. You know, Andrew Luck. We're not reaching for one and plucking him from the group. There's just like a whole mess of them. So to get one of those guys that represents what that used to kind of be a whole strategy around here in the, again, where did this guy get him here in the 14th round? Good on you, brother. Good on you. That's how you play fantasy football. That's how you win fantasy football too. All right, we back up on the board. Yep, you are Jack John. All right, so we got a couple of players here on the board that I like still, that I have already put pins in. Gonna scroll through over here real quick, see if there's anybody that's standing out. But there's really not. Jelani Woods is interesting, but I'm gonna actually go ahead and just take Isaiah McKenzie. Got picked up by Indy. Again, not a huge free agency signing, but if you've watched this channel for any period of time, or if you have a keen eye for fantasy football, you know Michael Pittman ain't it. We talk about how he ain't it. We don't care what the deep metrics say. He ain't it. So what does that mean? That means there's openings for other players on this team, depending on who the quarterback is, to potentially not necessarily also not be it. But if we're going to, take 16 games of Michael Pittman and try to tell ourselves that and package that as like a good thing to have on a fantasy team, I think other players on this team that are also not it or could represent that kind of at least minimal upside, give them to me, in half PPR, which this is. And again, in the 15th or 16th round here, I'll take it. Same situation here, kind of with Dolch. I'm really just buying into the idea that not that Hollywood isn't good and Hollywood's great. He's going to get force-fed, but Hopkins is gone. So, and Hurts, his injury was not one that I'm super excited for him when he does come back from. I forget exactly what it was, but he still has Kyler throwing the ball, yada, yada, yada. Long story short, Dortch is in a good spot. And again, to get him here very late in this draft, that's kind of what I'm looking for. Just a guy that may or may not show up in the lineup a couple of times a season And I think McKenzie and Dortch could both represent that. Now, we only have 3 picks left, and I only have 1 tight end, and I have 2 quarterbacks. So we have kind of a theoretical question here. Do I just keep it fragile tight end with 1, maybe get another one? I did do some teams last season where I only drafted 1 tight end, and those teams actually ended up doing pretty dang good. Overall, most of them won me money, but most of them had either Evan Ingram or David Njoku as that tight end. So I got very fortunate, and the guys I snagged last year is like my very late-ish tight end kind of guy. Do I believe that Gerald Everett really represents that? Or do I want to add somebody else? Am I confident in that kind of a strategy? I don't know. Another thing we could do here is we could insulate this team with another quarterback. Deshaun Watson and Geno Smith were not fantasy relevant 2 years ago. They were last year, for different periods of time. So even though that position is insulated to a degree, it's still fragile because it's still one guy that sort of represents it for every team. It's not like, oh, well, he's the quarterback 2 doesn't mean anything because there is no quarterback 2 on a team. There's just the quarterback 1, and there's the next quarterback 1. So we don't, and actually, as I'm saying this, quarterbacks are starting to go. So some other guys are maybe looking to insulate as well. Or we could just keep taking shots, going for some upside. So let's take a look at what's on the board here. If we're looking for pure upside, guys like Chuba Hubbard to me represents a little bit of upside. Guys that have fallen off the wagon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, nothing but upside with him, right? I mean, best case scenario, he ends up on a different team, gets used, Corey Davis, Dynasty darling from back in the day, wide receiver 92. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is going to leave, but, again, maybe go somewhere else. Devontae Parker. Ugh, I want that. We have 9 wide receivers, 5 quarter running backs. Let's see who's left at quarterback real quick. We have 15 seconds left. Brock Purdy, Jacoby Brissett. You know what? I'm going to take Jacoby Brissett. I really like Jacoby Brissett. He showed me a lot. I mean, he's one of these guys that he's been representing in the Dynasty streets for a while. He's been very consistently okay. Sometimes that's all you need. That's another one of the guys I put on a lot of teams last year, actually, when I was mentioning earlier, Jared Goff and Kirk Cousins, Jacoby Brissett, I threw him on a handful of teams, half a dozen or so. And I remember, just loving that. And what I did was I just stacked Watson even later because nobody was drafting Watson last year. And some of those teams turned out pretty well too. Interesting. Same guys on this team, different teams now. But now I also, and I'm assuming that Jacoby Brissett, honestly, if I'm being real with y'all, I think he's probably going to be the starter for Washington. And he's the kind of guy that can keep a job. Like he's a competent quarterback. So I get him, throw to Terry McLaurin. So I've accidentally stacked again. So I've got all my wide receivers stacked. I really like this team. All right. So we're in the 19th round. So we have 2 more picks. Do we take Chuba or do we take Clyde Edwards-Helaire? I'm going to take Clyde Edwards-Helaire just for the pure upside of it all. It might be a Jerick McKinnon situation, and we've seen players. Derrick Henry is a perfect example of this. Though I remember when Derrick Henry was completely written off for fantasy. I wrote him off. And that was after everyone was in on him when he was young, drafted him, put him on his team, didn't do that great. Then you got in on him because he was dipping in value, and you're like, oh, it's going to happen. And it still didn't happen. And then there was that death rattle where it was like, Derrick Henry, I guess maybe, it was like the guys that were still putting him on our team are like, first time, the gif, first time draft Derrick Henry, it's not going to work out. And then it did. And then it just did. And it just kind of has been doing that. Not saying that's going to happen to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Probably won't. But anything's possible. Do you believe in miracles? You like that Ted Lasso? What do you think this is all about? Believe. We got one more pick, y'all. Where are we going with it? These are always so fun. We just took Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Our team is currently set up in a 3 quarterback, 6 running back, 9 wide receivers, and 1 tight end format. 3-6-9. I do like that. Very, symmetrical. So do we throw it all off? How are we going to throw this all off? Do we do 3-7-9-1? Do we do 3-6-10-1? So that would be 3-6-1-0-1. No. You can see here towards the end, we're getting really scientific. The theoretical astrophysics of it all, baby. Oh, shit. What's week 17 look like next year? I got to correlate. 20th round, 17th week, deep league correlations only. All bullshit aside, though, we're just going to take the best player available. Don't you dare tell me that's Brock Purdy, because you're probably right. Not doing it, though. Oh, man, I should, though, shouldn't I? I should take Brock Purdy. Oh, my God. Oh, my gosh. I'm about to draft Brock Purdy. 4 quarterbacks. Now, this just doesn't feel right. Man, no, we've done so well. Let's just ride it out. Let's just do all the theoretical physical stuff. I just do not like any of these late round flyers, really. None of them. Oh, you know who I'm going to put on my team? I'm going to put Austin Hooper on this team. So I think he's going to be the pass-catching tight end for the Raiders now. And, you know, Jimmy is the guy. I mean, Jimmy is the guy who made George Kittle a thing, you know what I'm saying? So wouldn't surprise me if he leans into that. And we can say that Kyle Shanahan made Jimmy Garoppolo and all that, but he's back with the original offensive coordinator that made Kyle Shanahan look to Jimmy G and say, okay, maybe there's something there. So since then, he's played in the Super Bowl. He's done some things. Jimmy's been through some things, okay? He looked good in that all-black fit. Let's be real. And again, Austin Hooper fits that mold of the kind of guy that we like. So let's take a look at this team in its entirety if we can. I wish they would let us look at it in a different format setting. Let's do this one. Wait, what? 5. I want to let me change the name. Okay. 5. So it looks like my last 2 drafts, I went very aggressively wide receiver. Shocker. Ugh. Quarterbacks were rough on this one. Went young. Similar setup there, though. See, like I told you, Kadarius, Juju, Gerald Everett's on that team, too. My wide receivers my quarterbacks are a lot better on this team, though. I think this is a better team overall, even though it was drafted later when people were, you know, quote unquote sharper. If I'm being honest, I think this is a better team. So that is all from me today. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Be sure to draft with us on Underdog. Be sure to join the Discord to be part of the discourse and become a channel member. We will review your Dynasty teams. We will give you hands-on trade advice. We will walk you through our rankings process. And most importantly, we will help you win your fantasy football leagues, because that's what we do. All right, IDP.